might be the best offensive player that we've ever seen. If that sounds extreme to you, just wait a few minutes.
Oh, look at that pass. Look at this. What a play. What did we just see there?
I'll tell you what we saw. The man hiked it through his legs without looking and placed it so perfectly that Brown didn't even break stride. One thing we actually didn't see in that game was a great touch pass, where Jokic barely possesses the ball before pinging it along to a teammate, because he has the spidey sense to read the future and the peripheral vision to spot the smallest shifts on the floor, then pass before anyone knew what happened. All of these gifts can create the impossible, a one-handed missile through 3 defenders that requires pinpoint accuracy, speed, and audacity. And it all started before he caught the ball, when a teammate found a microscopic pocket in the defense so Jokic could add to his greatest hits. A few years ago, when discussing LeBron James, one of the best passers in NBA history himself, I laid out some key tools for mastering passing. Things like speed of delivery, anticipation, and manipulation. Magic Johnson had all of these gifts in spades. So did Larry Bird, where it felt like he could see the future at times. But Jokic is right there too. He knows where everyone is, thinks a step ahead, and has the height and dexterity to deliver the ball. Perhaps the most underappreciated part of his playmaking is the way he alters his delivery angles to bend passes around defenders. We've seen him take the dribble and blend it into a sidearm wraparound, and he uses his height like a cheat code, just feathering it over taller defenders in ways most players couldn't even dream of. His hand-eye coordination is so absurd that he can alter his delivery mid-pass, going under and around a defender because they threw up their hands. On this one, he audibles against 2 defenders and slips it sideways to a cutting Brown, and he's an expert at disguising his passes, turning a left-handed dribble on the fast break into the pass itself. Joker's favorite sleight of hand is probably the shot pass, where he goes through the shooting motion so defenders get ready to rebound, only to pass it off to a teammate. This pairs naturally with his height, because he can freeze defenders while creating a passing angle over the top. Perhaps the quintessential Jokic pass is the simplest. He just hits cutters when it doesn't seem like they're open. Off of this miss, Brown's defender is running stride for stride with him, but Jokic sees a layup and throws it anyway. This isn't just about these horizontal windows either, but the vertical ones too. The Pelicans have this play defended perfectly, at least in theory. Jokic knows Zion Williamson is helping toward him, which leaves a 5'9" defender to slide down and cover Gordon, so Joker throws it to where only Aaron can catch it. This vertical passing dimension is something older generations couldn't really access, since lobs weren't really a part of a more congested game back then. This makes cross-generational comparisons somewhat tricky because the passing chances in each era were a little different, and comparing passers is hard anyway because it's difficult to know when scoring stops and when passing starts, since great players use the threat of their scoring to create new passing chances. Steve Nash might be the best example of this in NBA history, carving out passes from thin air by dribbling around in traffic. Nash's constant probing and absurdly quick trigger might have made him the most voluminous great passer ever, slinging so many absurd completions every game that it was almost taken for granted. If Nash is a dark horse contender for the GOAT passer, Magic probably holds the unofficial title for most fans. He picked teams apart in transition with his pace and flair, but he was also deadly in the half court, using speed and creativity to puncture defenses. Bird might have been the most valuable outlet passer of all time, and the best passer ever on the move, 2 pretty big cards to hold in this showdown. And even someone like Jason Kidd uncorked madness on a regular basis. But Jokic is right there with all of them. He makes just about every type of pass in the book, and he moves defenders around with his head positioning and the mere glance of an eye. No player in the league right now has a higher on-court offensive rating than Joker. Denver scores an incredible 125 points per 100 with him out there, but their offensive rating drops to just 104 when he's on the bench, which is 270th out of 271 qualifying players, largely because his passing creates that much value for his team. An incredible 57% of Jokic's assists this year have gone for layups, whereas Tyrese Halliburton, the league leader in assists per game, sees just 39% of his dimes end at the rim. Oh, and one more thing. Jokic's passes in this video are from this season only, a mere 27 games of basketball. That's all it takes for him to generate a highlight reel that can compete with just about anyone to ever lace them up. So, yeah, his passing makes him one of the best offensive players I've ever seen. I don't know if he's definitively better than Magic or Nash or any of the other GOAT contenders, but I do know that he should be one of the first names included in that conversation, because Nikola Jokic might just be the best passer that the sport has ever seen.